In the verdant outskirts of a small village nestled between rolling hills and cradled by the soft curves of a flowing river, there lived a young artist named Kaito. With his eyes as vivid as the azure sky and hands skilled in capturing the essence of the natural world, Kaito's deepest passion lay in painting. Each brushstroke he laid on the canvas was a silent ode to the beauty that surrounded his humble home. One crisp morning, as the sun cast golden hues across the land, Kaito ventured further than usual, driven by a restless urge for inspiration that his familiar surroundings could no longer satisfy. His steps led him through a winding path bordered by wildflowers and overhanging trees, until he stumbled upon a sight he had never seen before: a secluded bamboo grove. This was no ordinary cluster of trees. The bamboo stalks soared high, their leaves whispering in the gentle breeze, creating a symphony of hushed sounds that seemed almost like speech. Intrigued, Kaito stepped closer, his artist's soul captivated by the ethereal quality of the place. Days turned into weeks, and Kaito found himself returning to the grove repeatedly. He brought his canvas, his paints, but soon realized that his true calling there was not to paint but to listen. Over time, as he sat silently among the whispering stalks, the murmurs became clearer, and he began to understand. The bamboo was ancient, each stalk a keeper of wisdom passed down through centuries, whispered secrets of the earth, the wind, and the water. Kaito learned of natural rhythms and cycles, the interconnectedness of life, and the subtle magic woven into the fabric of the world. The grove became his sanctuary, a place of learning and profound peace. He took to sketching the bamboo, not as it appeared, but as it felt the lines filled with the energy and wisdom of the whispers. However, tranquility is often fleeting. News of Kaito's frequent visits to the bamboo grove reached the ears of a greedy landowner, Goro, whose estate bordered the village. Goro was a man whose soul was blinded by the gleam of gold, and who heard not the whispers of wisdom but the call of profit. Upon discovering the unique allure of the bamboo grove through Kaito's sketches, which had begun to gain admiration from the villagers, Goro envisioned a grand resort on the land, destroying the grove to build a monument to his greed. Aware of Goro's intentions, Kaito was torn. He yearned to protect the sacred grove, yet knew he had little power against Goro's wealth and influence. It was then, amidst his despair, that the bamboo offered him a glimmer of hope. The whispers spoke of an ancient ritual, one that could bind the spirit of the grove with a protector who would stand against any harm. With resolve stealing his every step, Kaito prepared for the ritual. It required the purest of intentions and a heart brave and true. On the night of the next full moon, Kaito walked into the grove with nothing but a candle to light his way and the deepest respect in his heart. As the moon cast its silver glow upon the world, Kaito performed the ritual taught by the whispers. As the night deepened, the whispers grew into a chant, and the bamboo swayed as though dancing to an ancient rhythm only they could hear. The grove accepted him, sealing a pact with Kaito. He became the grove's keeper, imbued with the wisdom and strength of the bamboo itself. From that night onward, Kaito's resolve to protect the grove intensified. He knew the battle to save the sacred place was just beginning, as Goro would not be easily swayed from his destructive plans. Kaito prepared to face whatever challenges came, fortified not just by his own will, but by the ancient power of the bamboo grove that now thrummed in his veins. The next days would bring the confrontation to a head, as Goro's plans moved rapidly forward, and Kaito had to muster all the cunning and wisdom bestowed upon him by the grove to protect it. As the dawn broke over the village, the rumor of Goro's plans began to spread, igniting a flicker of concern among the villagers. Kaito, now the grove's keeper, felt a profound duty not just to protect the grove but also to enlighten his fellow villagers about the true value of this natural treasure. Kaito decided that the first step was to show the villagers the grove, allowing them to experience its magic firsthand. He organized a gathering, inviting everyone to walk through the grove, to listen to the whispering bamboo, and to feel its serene energy. As the villagers stepped into the grove, their initial skepticism melted away, replaced by awe and a protective affection for the grove. They could feel, though not fully understand, the whispers of wisdom that Kaito had come to cherish. Emboldened by the villagers' support, Kaito approached the village council to plead the case for preserving the grove. He shared the stories and lessons he had learned from the bamboo, speaking of balance, sustainability, and respect for nature. The council, moved by Kaito's passion and the villagers' newfound respect for the grove, agreed to oppose Goro's plans. Meanwhile, Goro was not idle. He had begun hiring contractors to clear the land, arguing that the resort would bring wealth and jobs to the village. He dismissed the grove as merely a cluster of trees, insignificant against the economic benefits his project promised. The tension in the village grew as the day of the council's final decision approached. Kaido knew he needed more than just words to combat Goro's influence. He returned to the grove, seeking guidance from the bamboo. That night, under a starry sky, the grove whispered to him of an ancient well hidden within its heart, a well that was said to hold the pure essence of the land's spirit. If he could present this sacred symbol to the council, it would strengthen his case for the grove's spiritual and cultural significance. Guided by the whispers, Kaito searched until he found the stone-covered well, overgrown and forgotten. He worked through the night to clear it, revealing symbols and inscriptions that told of the land's ancient guardians who had once drawn water from this well to sustain the grove and the village. Armed with this discovery, Kaito presented his findings to the village council and the villagers at a convened meeting. The revelation of the well and its history made a compelling case, highlighting not only the ecological but also the historical and spiritual importance of the grove. The council was swayed by this tangible link to their heritage, leading them to reconsider the long-term impact of destroying such a site. On the day of the decision, the council voted unanimously to protect the bamboo grove, designating it as a community heritage site. Goro, faced with the united front of the village and lacking the legal ground to proceed, was forced to abandon his plans. The grove was saved, and Kaito continued to serve as its keeper, guiding visitors and teaching them the wisdom of the bamboo. Under his care, the grove flourished, becoming a symbol of the village's identity and its deep, renewed connection with nature. Kaito's story spread far beyond the village, inspiring other communities to look inward and protect their natural sanctuaries. His life intertwined with the grove, Kaito remained a humble student of its whispers, forever grateful for the wisdom shared with him. Or in the fertile valley of Yamazato, where the fields stretched like golden seas under the sun, lived a farmer named Isamu. A man of humble means and a gentle spirit, Isamu lived alone, his life dedicated to the soil and the seasons. His only companions were the stars at night and the crops he tended by day. One evening, under the glow of a full moon, Isamu stayed late in his fields, laboring over a particularly stubborn patch of earth that refused to yield. As he worked, his lantern casting long shadows over the furrows, a soft shimmering caught his eye. Turning toward the light, Isamu saw a rabbit, its fur as white as the moonlight and its eyes shimmering with a mysterious depth. The rabbit approached Isamu, stopping at his feet. Unlike any ordinary creature of the wild, it spoke in a gentle, melodious voice. "Kind farmer, you have shown great diligence and respect for your land. I am a moon rabbit, a guardian of the night, and I have the power to grant you a wish in exchange for the kindness you have shown to all living things." Surprised yet moved by the magical presence of the rabbit, Isamu thought carefully. His life was simple, and he had few desires. However, seeing the opportunity to bring joy not just to himself but to his entire village, he made his wish. "I wish for our village to prosper, for our fields to be bountiful, and for no one to know the ache of hunger," he said with a hopeful heart. The moon rabbit nodded, its eyes glowing brighter for a moment. "Your wish is kind and selfless, but be warned, All magic comes with a balance that must be maintained. Prosperity will come, but the balance of nature must not be disrupted. With these cryptic words, the rabbit tapped the ground with its paw, and a silver light spread across the fields. In an instant, the rabbit vanished, leaving Isamu alone under the moonlit sky. The very next morning, Isamu discovered that his fields, and those of his neighbors, were indeed more vibrant and alive than ever before. Crops grew rapidly, almost in front of their eyes, and the harvest that year was more abundant than any in memory. The village celebrated, their storerooms overflowing with grain and vegetables, and Isamu was hailed as a harbinger of good fortune. However, as the seasons cycled from spring to summer, then to autumn, the villagers began to notice changes. The crops were not only abundant but unnaturally resilient, growing in places where they should not, overtaking wildlands and disrupting the habitats of local wildlife. The natural balance was tipping. Concerned, Isamu remembered the moon rabbit's warning about maintaining balance. He watched as the unchecked growth began to affect the surrounding forests and meadows, the natural flora being choked out by the superabundant crops. Wildlife grew scarce, and the natural beauty of the village began to diminish. Isamu knew he had to act to restore the balance. He consulted the village elders, and together, they decided to seek the moon rabbit once more. Isamu returned to his fields on the next full moon, hoping to encounter the mystical creature again. As the moon climbed high and bathed the fields in its silvery light, the moon rabbit appeared once more, its gaze solemn. "Kind farmer, you have seen the consequences of your wish. Balance is the law of nature, and it has been undone," it said. Isamu bowed deeply, regret in his heart. "Please, I wish to amend my wish. Teach us how to restore the balance without losing the prosperity you have granted us," he implored. The rabbit's eyes shimmered thoughtfully. "To restore balance, you must take only what you need and give back to the land in equal measure. Begin by setting aside lands to remain fallow and others to be rewilded. Prosperity need not come at the expense of nature's harmony." Grateful for the rabbit's wisdom, Isamu and his fellow villagers followed the advice diligently. They rotated their crops more mindfully, set large tracts of land aside to return to their wild state, and managed their harvests to ensure that the natural world could coexist with their agricultural prosperity. Over time, the natural balance was restored. Wildlife returned, the natural beauty of the landscape blossomed once again, and the village continued to thrive, but this time in harmony with the world around it. Isamu never forgot the lessons taught by the moon rabbit, and the villagers remembered to respect the delicate balance of nature. Prosperity, they learned, was indeed possible when paired with respect and care for the natural world. In the era when the cherry blossoms perpetually graced the land with their fleeting beauty, there lived a samurai named Teiko. Known for his unyielding bravery and skill in battle, Teiko's life was overshadowed by a rivalry that defined much of his warrior existence. His adversary was a samurai named Hiroshi, equally skilled and equally proud, whose fate had been sealed in a duel under the crimson sky of dusk, a duel that left Hiroshi fallen by Teiko's blade. Though victorious, Teiko found no peace. Each night, as the moon climbed the heavens, the shadow of Hiroshi appeared at his side. Not a specter that sought vengeance, but a silent, solemn presence that served as a constant reminder of the rivalry and the life he had taken. This haunting drove Teiko to seek redemption, to cleanse his soul of the guilt that weighed upon it like the heaviest armor. Teiko's quest for peace led him away from his lord's domain to wander the land. His travels were long and arduous, filled with contemplation and solitude, until one misty dawn he found himself at the foot of a mountain known in whispers as the place where spirits converge. At the summit was an ancient shrine, veiled in legends, and said to be a portal between the earthly realm and that of the spirits. Driven by a desperate hope for absolution, Teiko ascended the mountain. The path was steep, the air growing cooler and the mist thicker with each step he took. As he neared the summit, the ethereal glow of the shrine emerged through the fog. Its torii gate painted a vibrant vermilion that sliced through the grayness around it. At the shrine, Teiko was greeted not by priests, but by a spectral figure clad in the flowing robes of a Shinto priest. The spirit's face was serene, its eyes deep and knowing. Teiko of the East, you come seeking forgiveness for a soul taken before its time. The spirit intoned, its voice echoing slightly as if carried by the wind itself. Yes, Teiko replied, his voice a hoarse whisper. I seek peace through redemption, if such a thing is still possible for me. The spirit nodded slowly. Here at this shrine we hold the trials of redemption. You must face 3 challenges, each reflecting the virtues of Bushido, the warrior code. Succeed, and you shall find the peace you seek. Fail, and be bound to this mountain. A guardian spirit until the time comes for your own redemption to be judged. Teiko accepted, ready to face whatever trials awaited, his resolve as sharp as the katana at his side. The first trial, courage. The first trial took Teiko into a realm within the shrine where the landscape mirrored the fiercest battles of his past. Here, spectral warriors charged, their cries chilling the air. Teiko's heart raced, but his grip on his sword was steady. He fought with honor, not with the fury of battle lust, but with the courage to face his past deeds, acknowledging each strike and each fall as a step toward redemption. The second trial, honesty. Next, he was led to a quiet chamber, where the spirit asked him to recount his story, not the tale of his victories, but the truth of his fears, his regrets, and his sorrows. Teiko spoke honestly, his voice unsteady, as he laid bare the wounds of his soul. The spirit listened, the chamber absorbing every word, every confession acting as a balm to Teiko's haunted spirit. The third trial, compassion. For the final trial, Teiko was shown the moment of his duel with Hiroshi, not as he had lived it, but from Hiroshi's perspective. He felt Hiroshi's resolve, his doubts, and the pain of his final moments. Tears streamed down Teiko's face as he experienced the loss and love from the eyes of his rival. With a deep, soulful understanding, Teiko finally forgave himself and Hiroshi. With the trials complete, the spectral priest appeared once more. Teiko, you have faced yourself with courage, honesty, and compassion. You have earned your redemption. As dawn broke, the shadow that had followed Teiko was gone. In its place was a sense of peace, deep and profound. Teiko descended the mountain, not as a man haunted by his past, but as a warrior reborn, ready to live his life with the wisdom gained from his trials. From that day forward, Teiko traveled across the land, not as a ronin, but as a sage, teaching others the virtues that had freed him. The shrine remained on the mountain, waiting for the next soul brave enough to seek redemption. In the shadow of the majestic Mount Fuji, shrouded in white against the blue skies of Japan, there lay a small village known as Fujimura. The villagers of Fujimura lived in harmony with the land and revered a mythical creature said to reside within the sacred mountain, a benevolent dragon named Ryujin. Legends spoke of Ryujin as the guardian of water, whose breath could summon the clouds and whose movements beneath the earth created the springs that fed the rivers. For generations, the villagers offered prayers and festivals in Ryujin's honor, thankful for the prosperity and natural bounty he provided. Life in Fujimura was peaceful, with every household sharing in the harvests and every child growing up with tales of the dragon's wisdom and kindness. However, one year, the skies did not darken with the monsoon clouds, and the rivers ran thin. The earth cracked under the relentless sun. Crops failed, and the villagers, once sustained by the abundance granted by Ryujin, faced a severe drought. Desperation grew as days turned into weeks with no sign of rain. Amidst this growing fear, a young villager named Haruto decided to take action. Known for his courage and deep respect for the traditions of his ancestors, Haruto proposed to undertake a journey to the summit of Mount Fuji to seek an audience with Ryujin and ask for his aid. The elders, though wary of the dangers, saw no better option and gave Haruto their blessing. Haruto began his ascent at dawn, equipped with offerings from the village sacred sake rice and woven silks as symbols of their respect and need. The climb was steep, the paths shrouded in mist and the air growing colder with each step upwards. Legends had it that the path was laced with trials, meant to test the worthiness of any who sought to meet the dragon. The first trial Haruto encountered was a great chasm that split the path ahead. The jump was far too wide for any man to leap. Remembering the tales of his youth, Haruto used the silks to fashion a rope, securing it with the strength of his resolve and the wisdom of his ancestors. With a deep breath, he swung across the chasm, his heart steady with the faith that Ryujin watched over him. The second trial was a puzzle of ancient stones, each marked with faded kanji, telling the story of the dragon's legacy. Only by arranging them to complete the tale correctly could the path forward open. Haruto, well versed in the village's lore, reflected on the stories he had been told since childhood. With a careful hand and a thoughtful mind, he placed each stone, recounting the dragon's deeds of benevolence. As the last stone set into place, the mountain seemed to sigh, and the path cleared, enveloped in a warm light. Finally, at the summit, Haruto found the entrance to a cave, the air shimmering with a subtle magic. Stepping inside, he came upon a vast underground lake, its water still and deep. There, coiled in the center of the lake, lay Ryujin, his scales shimmering with the hues of the earth, his eyes wise and deep as the ages. Haruto approached with reverence, presenting his offerings and speaking of his village's plight. Ryujin listened, his voice resonant as the mountain itself. "Brave Haruto, your village has indeed been blessed with many seasons of plenty, but the earth must rest, as all living beings do. The drought is part of a cycle, one that brings balance and reminds us of our place in the natural world." Ryujin's words struck Haruto with a weight heavier than the mountain. The dragon continued, however, "Your journey and your faith have moved me. Return to your village and dig beneath the oldest sakura tree in Fujimura. What you find there will help restore the balance." Haruto bowed deeply and descended the mountain, his heart filled with mixed emotions. Upon his return, he led the villagers to the ancient sakura. Together, they dug carefully and discovered a hidden spring, its waters pure and abundant. With Ryujin's guidance, they built a system to distribute the water fairly, ensuring that no part of the village went wanting. The drought ended, but the lessons of balance and respect for the natural cycles remained ingrained in every villager's heart. Haruto's journey became a new tale, told alongside those of the dragon, a reminder of courage, respect, and the wisdom of seeking harmony with the greater forces of the world. In a quaint coastal village where the sea kissed the sands under the watchful gaze of the starlit sky, there lived a young weaver named Amaya. Her hands were skilled and her imagination boundless. Amaya's most breathtaking creations were her night sky tapestries. With threads of midnight blue, silver, and deep violet, she wove the cosmos into cloth, each piece a fragment of the heavens, sparkling with tiny beads that glinted like stars. Her work was not merely fabric, it was a slice of the night itself, alive with the dance of distant lights. Amaya's reputation as a weaver of celestial fabrics grew until it transcended the bounds of the earthly realm. One clear night, as Amaya wove under the open sky, a soft glow enveloped her loom. The air shimmered, and before her appeared a being of ethereal beauty, clothed in starlight. The being introduced itself as Lysandra, a messenger from the celestial court. "Lovely Amaya, your talents have caught the eye of the celestial beings. We are moved by your art that captures the essence of our skies. I am here to extend an invitation to you, Lysandra spoke in a voice like the gentle hum of the universe. The celestial weaving contest is held once every millennium in the heavens. Weavers from many worlds gather to create their finest works under the stars themselves. You, gifted mortal, are invited to compete. Amaya, though initially overwhelmed, felt a thrill of excitement and honor. She accepted the invitation, her heart alight with the opportunity to weave amongst the stars. Lysandra gave her a spindle made of moonlight and a skein of threads plucked from the aurora borealis, ensuring that her earthly talents could be matched with materials of celestial origin. The night of the contest, Amaya was transported to the heavens. The arena was a floating palace of clouds with looms of light arrayed in an arc, each positioned before a panoramic view of the universe. Beings of all forms, some radiant with the light of stars, others dark as the void of space, were her competitors. The contest began at dusk, with the first star's light. Each weaver's task was to create a tapestry that told a story of their world, using the cosmic materials provided. Amaya set her hands to work, the moonlight spindle spinning effortlessly as she wove the tale of her village, the sea, the sand, the gentle embrace of the night sky. Hours turned into night, and the sky shifted as she worked, her fingers deftly moving across the loom. The celestial audience watched in silent reverence as each tapestry grew, each a testament to the weaver's world and skill. As dawn approached, the weavers completed their creations. Amaya's tapestry depicted her coastal village under the starry night, with waves that shimmered with real light and sands that sparkled under the moon. It was a masterpiece that captured the beauty and tranquility of her earthly home. The judges, ancient celestial beings older than the stars themselves, deliberated under the morning star. When they returned, the air was thick with anticipation. They announced the results, and to Amaya's humble surprise, her tapestry was chosen as the epitome of weaving artistry. The judges were moved by the depth of her connection to her home and the lifelike quality of her weave. Amaya was bestowed the title of Stellar Weaver, an honor that granted her a place among the celestial beings whenever she chose to visit. She was given gifts of celestial threads and fabrics to take back to her earthly realm, ensuring that her weaves would forever carry the magic of the stars. Returned to her village with the dawn's first light, Amaya's fame spread far and wide, attracting visitors from across lands to see her tapestries of the night sky. She continued to weave, her work ever inspired by her celestial journey, forever bridging the world of her quiet village with the vast, beautiful cosmos. In the lush, verdant valleys of rural Japan, where the boundary between the earthly and the ethereal often blurred, there lived a mischievous fox spirit named Yoko. With fur as red as the setting sun and eyes sparkling with untold mischief, Yoko had lived for centuries, wandering the forests and playing tricks on unsuspecting travelers. However, as the ages passed, she grew curious about the human emotion called love, a theme prevalent in the whispers and songs carried by the wind. Driven by this newfound curiosity, Yoko transformed herself into a beautiful human woman with hair like autumn leaves and eyes that hinted at her wild nature. In her human form, she ventured into a nearby village, where she met a young, kind-hearted farmer named Taro. Taro was a man of simple pleasures and deep loyalty, known in the village for his gentle demeanor and strong sense of duty. Taro encountered Yoko one evening at the village festival, where lanterns floated like stars above their heads. Struck by her beauty and the mysterious air that surrounded her, Taro was instantly drawn to her. Yoko, intrigued by his sincere and earnest nature, found herself equally captivated. They spent the evening together, talking under the moonlight, and by the end of the night, a bond had formed between them, as delicate yet potent as the silk of a spider's web. Over time, their friendship blossomed into love. Yoko found herself experiencing the joys and pains of human affections, her heart no longer that of a carefree spirit, but that of a woman in love. After many seasons, they decided to marry, a union celebrated with joy by Taro's fellow villagers, who remained unaware of Yoko's true nature. However, the merging of a spirit and human was not without its trials. Yoko struggled daily to maintain her human form, the effort draining her magical essence. Furthermore, whispers of her otherworldly nature began to surface. Livestock misfortunes and odd occurrences around the village were attributed to her presence, stirring suspicion among the villagers. Taro, ever faithful, stood by Yoko, defending her against the growing mistrust. His loyalty tested the bounds of their love as he grappled with the reality of his wife's true identity, which she finally revealed to him during a night of full moon under the sacred Zelkova tree in the village shrine. Taro, shaken but undeterred, reaffirmed his love for Yoko, vowing to face whatever challenges came their way together. The turning point came when a mysterious illness befell the village, one that the local healer could not cure. The villagers, desperate and fearful, blamed Yoko, calling her a curse in their midst. Taro, desperate to save both his wife and his village, pleaded with Yoko to use her magic to help. Reluctant to reveal her true nature but moved by Taro's plea, Yoko agreed. That night, Yoko called upon her fox spirit kin, beseeching them for a solution. They responded with a celestial herb found only in the spirit world, capable of curing the illness but at a great cost to Yoko. Using this herb, Yoko crafted a cure that swept away the illness, restoring health to the villagers. The act, however, drained much of her life force, leaving her weakened, barely able to maintain her human guise. The villagers, realizing the sacrifice Yoko had made for them, repented their earlier suspicions and came to accept her as one of their own. Taro, seeing the toll it took on Yoko to live a human life, made a heartfelt plea to her. "Return to your spirit form," he urged. "Live freely, my love. I will cherish the time we had, and I will hold you in my heart until the end of my days." Yoko, touched by his selflessness, chose to remain in the village as a spirit, visible only to Taro. She became a guardian of the village, her mischief now serving as playful protection rather than trickery. Taro and Yoko continued to share a bond transcendent of form, him as a man, and her as a spirit, teaching the village about the power of understanding and the boundless nature of love. In the village of Hashinomura, nestled under the watchful gaze of ancient mountains, the Lantern Festival was the pinnacle of the year, a night when every home, street, and face was illuminated by the soft, flickering light of paper lanterns. This festival, deeply rooted in tradition, was said to guide the souls of the departed on their journey to the afterlife, a beautiful belief that brought comfort to many. Among the villagers was a young orphan named Kenji. With no family of his own, Kenji was raised by the village as a whole, finding parental figures in neighbors and elder siblings in the local children. Despite his circumstances, Kenji carried an optimistic spirit and a kind heart, beloved by all who knew him. During one lantern festival, as Kenji helped the elderly Mrs. Sato prepare her lantern, she shared with him the village's secret that the lanterns did not merely symbolize the journey of spirits, but actively participated in it. Each lantern was a vessel, carrying a soul's wishes and memories to the afterlife, ensuring their peace and guidance. Mrs. Sato entrusted Kenji with a special lantern, one that carried the soul of her late husband, Mr. Sato, along with a final message she had never had the chance to deliver. Feeling the weight of this honor, Kenji accepted the task with a gravity well beyond his years. That night, as the villagers gathered to release their lanterns into the river that flowed through Hashinomura, Kenji held the special lantern tightly, feeling the warmth of the candle flicker against his palms. As the lanterns drifted away, creating a river of light that wound its way toward the sea, a strange, serene silence fell over Kenji. In that moment, A soft wind whispered through the reeds along the river bank, and the special lantern glowed brighter than the rest. Compelled by a force he couldn't explain, Kenji followed the lantern along the river's edge, watching as it bobbed along the water, always just within his reach but never touching the others. The journey took Kenji far from the village, through unfamiliar woods and under starlit skies, until he reached a place where the river widened and the waters merged with the sea. Here, the lantern floated towards a small, uninhabited islet in the middle of the estuary. Kenji, determined to fulfill his promise, found a small boat hidden among the reeds and rowed out to the islet. Upon reaching the islet, Kenji placed the lantern on a stone altar he found there, surrounded by wildflowers and vines. As he set the lantern down, the air shimmered around him, and the spirit of Mr. Sato appeared before him. The spirit, gentle and kind, thanked Kenji for bringing him this far and asked him to convey his message to Mrs. Sato that he had always loved her, that he was waiting for her across the spiritual divide, and that he watched over her every day. Tears streaming down his cheeks, Kenji promised to deliver the message. The spirit of Mr. Sato smiled and with a final nod dissolved into the night air, his lantern flickering out as he departed. Kenji rode back to the village by the light of the dawn, the first rays of the sun gilding the waters. When he returned, he relayed Mr. Sato's message to Mrs. Sato, who wept with joy and sorrow, her heart finally at peace. From that year on, Kenji took on the role of the lantern bearer during the festival, guiding the souls of the departed with honor and care. He grew into a man of great wisdom and kindness, embodying the spirit of the festival and its deep, loving traditions. Each year, as the lanterns floated down the river, the villagers felt the presence of those they had lost, knowing that their loved ones were at peace, thanks to the journey led by their dedicated lantern bearer. In the bustling heart of Tokyo, amidst its blend of ultra-modern and ancient architecture, there lived a curious and dedicated historian named Dr. Emiko Sato. Emiko specialized in ancient Japanese artifacts and was particularly fascinated by the mythological aspects of her culture. Her scholarly pursuits had earned her a respected position at a prominent museum, and her days were filled with relics that whispered secrets of the past. One rainy afternoon, while Emiko was exploring the dusty back shelves of the museum's archive, she stumbled upon an object that had been mislabeled and forgotten. It was an ornate mirror, framed in dark wood with intricate carvings that depicted the karmic cycle of life and death. The craftsmanship suggested it was from the Heian period, a time when art and spirituality were profoundly interwoven. Intrigued by this discovery, Emiko began researching the mirror. She unearthed ancient texts that spoke of a mirror of Yomi said to reveal glimpses of Yomi no Kuni, the shadowy underworld of Japanese mythology. According to legend, the mirror not only showed Yomi but also allowed the wielder to understand the fates of the souls reflected in its surface. Emiko, driven by her insatiable curiosity, decided to test the mirror that very night. Under the soft light of her study lamp, she peered into the glass, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. To her astonishment, the mirror did not reflect her own image but showed fleeting images of shadowy figures wandering in a mist-covered landscape. She realized that these were the souls of the departed, and she was indeed looking into Yomi. Over the following weeks, Emiko delved deeper into her research, uncovering that the mirror could also reveal how these souls had died in their lives before death. With each use, she felt a growing responsibility. Could she use the mirror's power to alter the past, to right the wrongs and injustices these souls had suffered? Or should she protect the future by ensuring the mirror never fell into less scrupulous hands? As Emiko wrestled with these questions, her research attracted the attention of various interested parties. Among them was a shadowy organization with ties to the occult, who believed that the mirror could be used to manipulate the past for their own gain. They approached Emiko, offering her wealth and prestige in exchange for the mirror. Torn between her duty as a historian to protect and preserve and the temptation to change past tragedies, Emiko faced a moral and ethical dilemma. She confided in her mentor, Professor Kobayashi, a wise and kind-hearted scholar who had always guided her in her career. Professor Kobayashi advised her, "The past, as painful as it may be, has shaped us in the world in ways we may not fully understand. To alter it could bring unintended consequences. Yet the future is yours to protect and forge." Taking these words to heart, Emiko decided to secure the mirror from those who would misuse it. She orchestrated a cunning plan, using a decoy to mislead the organization while she relocated the real mirror of Yomi to a more secure facility under the protection of the museum, locked away from those who might exploit its powers. In her heart, Emiko knew she had made the right decision. She continued her work, her life dedicated to uncovering and preserving the truths of the past, always aware of the thin line between knowledge and wisdom. The mirror of Yomi remained a secret, a powerful reminder of the responsibilities that come with uncovering the mysteries of history. As years passed, Emiko often reflected on the souls she had seen in the mirror, hoping her choice to protect the future was the right one, guided by the belief that understanding the past could help humanity tread more wisely in the present. In the quaint town of Moriguchi, known for its vibrant markets and rich culinary heritage, there lived a chef named Ichiro. He was the proprietor of a small but renowned restaurant, the Silver Spoon. Beloved by locals and gourmands alike for its exquisite dishes that seemed to capture the essence of each season. Ichiro's skill in the kitchen was unmatched, his hands weaving flavors together like threads in a tapestry. One misty autumn evening, as Ichiro was preparing to close for the night, a group of unusual patrons entered his restaurant. They were dressed in old-fashioned clothing, seemingly out of another era, and carried with them an air of serene dignity. Assuming them to be participants in some local festival or play, Ichiro welcomed them warmly, intrigued by their appearance. He decided to serve them his special course, a series of dishes inspired by the autumn harvest of velvety pumpkin soup infused with a touch of nutmeg, followed by a main course of delicately grilled fish adorned with a sauce of wild mushrooms and herbs, and finished with a dessert of persimmon pudding, sweet and soothing. The guests ate with quiet appreciation, their expressions reflecting a deep, unspoken satisfaction. As they prepared to leave, the leader of the group, a graceful woman with a gentle smile, approached Ichiro. "You have served us a meal that reminds us of the warmth of life, something we have not felt in many years," she said, her voice echoing like a breeze through fallen leaves. "In return for your hospitality, we offer you a gift." Before Ichiro could ask what she meant, she touched his forehead with a cool, ethereal finger. In that instant, Ichiro felt a surge of knowledge and understanding about ingredients and techniques he had never known before. The spirits vanished as quietly as they had arrived, leaving no trace but for the lingering scent of autumn in the air. The next day, Ichiro found that his culinary skills had indeed surpassed all others. His senses were heightened to an almost supernatural degree. He could discern the subtlest flavors and aromas, and his hands moved with precision and creativity that bordered on the magical. Word of his extraordinary talent spread far beyond Moriguchi, attracting crowds eager to experience his legendary cuisine. However, Ichiro soon realized that this gift came with a price. He began to see glimpses of the spirit world intermingling with his own shadows at the corners of his vision, whispers just beyond hearing, a chill that followed him, even in the warmth of his kitchen. The spirits had not just enhanced his culinary skills, they had opened his eyes to their realm, a world that demanded much of him. As months passed, Ichiro found himself increasingly torn between his desire to continue expanding his culinary empire and his need for peace from the relentless presence of the spirit world. He realized that with every dish he created using his supernatural skills, he drew more deeply from the spirit realm, strengthening the veil between the two worlds but also binding himself more tightly to it. Finally, Ichiro decided to seek balance. He consulted with a local priest who was knowledgeable about the spirit world. The priest advised him to set specific days to cook for the spirits, offering meals that honored and appeased them, thus maintaining harmony. Ichiro followed this counsel, dedicating one night each week to cooking a private meal that he left on the altar of the old shrine near his restaurant. On these nights, the boundary between the two realms felt respectfully acknowledged, and the spirits gave him peace. Through this arrangement, Ichiro managed to balance his gift and his burden. The silver spoon continued to thrive, and Ichiro's reputation as a master chef was tinged with an air of mystique. His experience taught him the depth of true hospitality, one that welcomed not just the living but also the spirits, and in doing so, found a harmony between giving and receiving, between the earthly and the ethereal. In a remote coastal village in Okinawa, where the sea whispered secrets to those who would listen, lived two siblings, Kiko and Ryo. Born during a fierce storm, the twins were endowed with the rare ability to control the winds, a gift that had been passed down through generations in their family, though it appeared only sporadically and often when most needed. Kiko, the elder by mere minutes, could summon gentle breezes and cool gusts with a wave of her hand, bringing relief on sweltering summer days. Ryo, on the other hand, commanded stronger gusts and could whip up fierce drafts that powered the village's windmills and boats. Despite their powers, the siblings had yet to truly master them, often resulting in unintended consequences when their emotions ran high. As they grew, their grandfather, an elder of the village and a wind master in his own right, taught them the importance of balance and control. The wind has a spirit, he would say. It can nurture or destroy, and so your hearts must be steady, your intentions clear. The true test of their abilities came one year when a typhoon, more monstrous than any in living memory, formed over the ocean and set its furious eye towards their village. The villagers, accustomed to storms but fearful of this giant, turned to Kiko and Ryo for help. The pressure was immense, and the fear of failure loomed over the twins. In the days leading up to the storm's landfall, Kiko and Ryo attempted to temper the outer bands of the typhoon, hoping to weaken it. Kiko focused on steering the gentler breezes to cool the air masses that fueled the typhoon, while Ryo tried to shift its course away from their home. However, their efforts were uncoordinated, and the initial attempts only resulted in minor diversions. Frustration and fear began to set in, driving a wedge of doubt between them. Seeing the discord and its effects, their grandfather intervened, reminding them of the lessons of their youth. Unity in your hearts and in your purpose is what will amplify your strength, he advised. Together you can achieve harmony with the winds and command them with precision. Taking his words to heart, Kiko and Ryo spent a night in meditation by the shore, reconnecting with each other and the winds, understanding each other's fears and hopes. As the typhoon drew nearer, with the skies darkening and the sea roiling, they stood together, hands linked, their resolve unified. This time, when they reached out to the winds, their powers responded with newfound synergy. Kiko's breezes swirled around Ryo's gusts, intertwining and strengthening. Together, they redirected the typhoon's path, inch by inch, away from their village, their combined forces gradually steering the heart of the storm back out to sea. The task drained much of their energy, but as the sky began to clear and the sea calmed, Kiko and Ryo felt a profound sense of accomplishment and a deeper bond than ever before. The village was spared the worst of the storm, suffering only minor damages and no loss of life. The villagers celebrated their survival with a festival in honor of the Wind Twins, as Kiko and Ryo were now affectionately known. The siblings promised to continue mastering their abilities, knowing that their unity was not just their strength but a vital protector of their people. Through this ordeal, Kiko and Ryo learned that their powers were strongest when harmonized with clear intent and mutual support, a lesson that would guide them for the rest of their lives as guardians of their village.